I invite our Honorable Chancellor, Dr. G. Viswanathan, humbly request him to deliver his acceptance speech.
Our VIT Chancellor, Dr. Kanchana Bhaskaran, Vice President, Dr. Shekhar Viswanathan, Executive Director, Dr. Sandhya, Advisor to Chancellor, Dr. Tyagarajan, Additional Registrar, Dr. Manoharan, Dean Academics, Dr. Naimullah Khan, other deans, directors, and members of the faculty, members of the non-teaching staff, and respected invitees, good afternoon to you. I'm not going to take a long time. Today, when everything was being spoken, I was remembering three people who are responsible for this position. The first is my parents, because he was a small farmer living in a remote village. In a joint family, he had only 4 or 5 acres of land. And with that, he was able to educate me, send to good college, etc. But for him, I would not have come up to the stage, so I remember my father and mother. The other person I remembered was who introduced me to politics, Arinyar Anna, Dr. Annadurai. But for him, I would have remained as an advocate or probably become a judge. He introduced me to politics and sent me to Lok Sabha when I was in 20s. The other person, as Shekhar mentioned, was Dr. MGR, but for him, this institution would not have come. He forced me to start this. And I had the opportunity to work with all the 4 chief ministers, Anna, Karunanidhi, MGR, and Madam Jayalalitha. The Binghamton University, State University of New York, Binghamton University, we should thank them for recognizing the work in education. And I don't know how many of you have gone through about the University of Binghamton. It's almost like our size. In student size is like Chennai. They are about 18 or 20,000. And in ranking, I think we are almost same at the world ranking, but the national ranking, they have a better ranking. Out of 3,200 universities in the US, their ranking is somewhere between 60 to 70. And they do very well in research. Of course, in US, they have an advantage where they get funding from federal government, state government, the local industrialists, and also their alumni. And I would like to thank individually our professor who was responsible for proposing this and finally got this done, Professor Srihari. But for him, this would not have happened. They have taken almost 1.5 years to finalize this. And when I was receiving this, I was remembering, or I was thinking about VIT's future, how we are going to be in the future days. Because we want to be one among the best universities in the world. And it all depends on the management, teachers, and students. I always consider teacher is the most important aspect of a university or a college or an institution for coming up. And fortunately, we have very good teachers. And to compete with others is not only teaching learning process, but also in research. It's all possible only if we have access to higher education. That's where, as a country, we are lagging behind. that is the place where we want to make a model. That's what we are doing in Vellore district. We have formed a trust called Universal Higher Education Trust. In Tamil we say, Anaivarukkum Uyar Kalvi. Because as a nation, the gross enrollment ratio or access to higher education is only 27%. It is nearly 90% in US. And of course, within the country also there is so much variation. We have crossed 50%, and Bihar has crossed 15%. This so much variation is there, but it's all, the average is 27. I have found that all those countries which is better in education, they become prosperous economically also. You can go through the number of countries in Africa. Their per capita income is less than $1,000 per annum. US, it is 80,000. Of course, there are all the European countries. It varies from 40, 50,000 to 70,000. And all of them are very good in higher education. That's because the government support is there for education. The problem in our country is education gets the least importance. In any welfare state, the government should spend more on education and health, which is not happening in our country. 50 years ago, the Education Commission of India recommended that 6% of the GDP should be spent on education. In 2020, the latest new education policy talks about allotting 6% of the GDP on education. It means in the last 50, 60 years, we were never able to achieve it. We were unable to cross 3% of the GDP. So I always feel that but for the parents, there would not be higher education at all. It is the parents who are responsible for higher education. No doubt government has colleges and universities, but the majority study in the private institutions. It means that they will have to spend more. In the government institutions, for example, universities, they don't want to spend more, so they limit the number of students. To give you a concrete example, there is one university in Vellore, Tiruvallur University, state government university. It is 22 years old now, and the total number of students is less than 700, entire university. Because if they admit more students, they will have to build classrooms, appoint more teachers, lab facilities must be made, etc. So the government is not giving enough allocation of money, and all the universities are like this throughout the country, it's not only in Tamil Nadu, throughout is this happening. And that is why we are lagging behind in education. Our Honorable Prime Minister wants us to march forward and become the third largest economy of the world. And our Honorable Chief Minister says we should become 1 trillion economy. At present, we are around $340 or $350 billion. It means 3 times we have to grow within 10 or 15 years. It is not possible without spending on education. Without education, no country can come up economically. With the meager education which we give, that itself works miracle. I don't know how many of you are aware of remittances. The citizens go out of the country, earn money and send it back to the country. It's called remittance. In the world, India is the top in remittance. Last year in 2023, we have received 10 lakh crores by our people working outside. Of course, mainly it is Arabian countries and US. Then comes other countries. If it is possible to get 10 lakh crores only with 27% GER, what will be our position if we are like 70, 80%, etc.? So people should think about it. Of course, English language is also very necessary. The government should think about it. That's what we are trying to impress upon the government, that they should spend more on education. Of course, they give many things free, but not education free. Only if you go to government school, it is free. If you send your children to private school, what is the benefit you get from the government? Nothing. And we know the problem of government schools in our country. I don't want to go into this. We are trying to encourage government schools, try to improve the quality of government schools, at least in one district. But we have not made much progress. That's very difficult. So unless the private sector takes it up, and running an educational institution cannot be a business, because then it will not reach the results. I always feel it is a service, and this service must be provided to poor and the middle class. And we want one district to be a model out of nearly, say, 800 districts. Vellore district is the only district where students get scholarship to go for higher education without government help. So far, we have given 8,600 scholarships under the trust, and about 10.5 crores has been distributed. I would like to thank all our teachers for contributing 1 day's salary. On my birthday, they contribute. That goes almost 50% of the entire amount, and the rest 50% is collected from the public. If this is repeated all over the country, then probably our GER may go up. But I hope the government will understand the necessity of higher education and spend more. And it's not only quantity but also quality. Now we have to compete ourselves with the top countries, top universities of the world. And it requires a lot of hard work, especially in research, and because timing is very essential. Apart from teaching, you'll have to spend more time on research activities also. And that's why we are admitting more PhD students, research students, whom we have to pay the stipend. How many research students are here in Vellore? In Chennai? In Vellore, we have about 4,000. Huh? 138. About 1,400. I think this number will have to go up. We will be able to achieve it, because only then we will be able to lead in research. Now, as already we are number 1 in Scopus Index publications in the country. We have overtaken all the IITs, including IISc. The publications VIT is number 1. I would like to thank all our teachers and research students for achieving this. And there are many more things which we want in patents we should be able to lead. And overall quality we have to improve, because students come from various parts of India and from various backgrounds. It takes almost a year for them to adjust themselves to VIT culture, and it all depends on teachers. You know, teaching is not a just profession. It's not working for money. It is much more than a profession. It's more a service than a profession. I always remember my teachers from elementary school, high school, and colleges, because I always say in Tamil, Uyirai Kuduttavar Petror, Uyarvai Kuduttavar Asiriyar. It's the teacher who gives you a good thing in life. And I want all our teachers to be aware of this. Of course, many of you are aware. Spend more time with the students and you are shaping the future of the country. Because the students who go out of VIT, I want them to be model citizens wherever they are, whether they are in the government, private sector, or they are on their own. I want them to be models, and I hope the probably Binghamton has recognized our intention and what we are doing, and they have honored me with this honorary doctorate. I would like to thank all those who are responsible for taking this measure. And in fact, there was the two ladies attended the function. One represents the New York Assembly, the other lady represents New York Senate, what we call council, they call it Senate. And they gave a citation in the evening. I would like to thank all of them for them. And of course, there was a big function in Washington one day later, felicitation function, where all the people from all walks of life, all the Indians and Tamils attended. I would like to thank all of them. And in India, this is the first felicitation meeting. I would like to thank Shekhar for taking the initiative. Now, in fact, I know there's a vacation period. Some of them are not possible to attend, but anyway, he has taken the initiative and being the first felicitation meeting. I thank all of you for attending this and participating in the program. I'm so happy that VIT has been recognized, and we should be able to come up. And my slogan is always from VIT to IIT, IIT to MIT. Ultimately, we should be able to compete with the best of the institutions, and it all depends on our teachers. I thank all of you. Thank you.